what's left of it.
Came down right, and it right at the edge. There's like a little notch at the very top there, and then the piece of it is on that block. And then in front of that there was a parking lot. That's completely gone. This block here. The block, that sliver block. See that? Sliced just like that. The road is on it. Yeah. So it used to be up at the top. It dropped down.
Why would? Oh, because so it wasn't lower.
No. It was up at the top.
Oh my God.
So that piece slid down.
Wow.
The rest of it went into a parking lot. The parking lot completely collapsed into rubble at the bottom, and it's now buried under that 1,000 feet of lava.
Wow.
And then the road comes back out, and then you can just see it was just a little crater just in there, not something this big. And the size of that eruption that caused it, which was a good 25 miles away from here, at the bottom of the volcano, right? It's draining it out, and so this was falling. So they didn't get lava erupting out of here in 2018, other than those explosions of ash that happened as it was collapsing. The lava flows are out way down at the bottom of the volcano.
See, it looks like a little point, and then it starts widening out beneath the top there. Look careful, you might see the yellow line.
High spot over here where some trees can grow, but most of it is pretty much shallow and grass. And then if you look in the far distance, there's some cliff out there. This is a block.
That's what she said.
And along the trench, sure enough, you see all these places where it's just steaming. The trench is only, a few feet deep, and it's like, wow, okay, that's odd. Well, yeah, it's just the water gets warm. I love it.
You asked me how do you pick a good one. Okay, so I'm going to tell you now. I also had someone ask me about why some are green, but when you go to the store they're yellow. Okay, so that'll all be answered right here. So as far as picking a good pineapple, while you're here in Hawaii, you just look for that logo. Okay?
Okay.
Real simple process. You're done. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so anybody here like avocados? Okay. You ever? I get frustrated because you buy a nice fresh one, you set it on the counter for like 5 minutes, and then it's all moldy and soft.
Yeah.
Pineapples are the same way. Okay, right here where the peduncle is broken off, it's literally a flesh wound, and just like our own skin, when we get cut, it tries to heal itself. Now that causes problems, infection, mold, stuff like that. Right here on the bottom. Okay, so first and most important thing you're going to do is squeeze the bottom, make sure it's not soft and moldy. Okay, also look for some visible mold and give it a nice whiff. Make sure it doesn't smell mildewy. Okay, that's the best indication of whether there's mold on it or not. That sun needs to go back behind the clouds. Okay? So that's most important. You're not going to look at a pineapple and know what it's going to taste like based off of anything on the outside. Okay, doesn't matter if it's yellow or green or blue or pink or black. If it's a certain breed, it's probably going to taste like that breed. So if you're getting Dole, it's always going to taste like a Dole. Okay, if it's a Maui Gold, it's going to taste like Maui Gold. Now, some things you can look for, the flatter the eye, the juicier. Okay, so these eyes, I don't really have a good example here, but if you look at these ones behind you that are still growing, the eyes are bulged out, they're still popped.
Right.
Okay, once they get too much juice, more than they can handle, they cave in on themselves. So the flatter the eye, the juicier, because it means it got more juice than it could handle. Okay, so that's not going to tell you what it's going to taste like, but it will tell you it's going to be juicier. Okay, and then one of my favorite ones is, anybody here do this? You've heard it. Okay, so good thing none of you done. I don't have to call anybody out. It is a very common myth around the world that if you pull a petal and it comes out easy, it's ripe. I could do that on any of these pineapples out here. It'll come out just as easy. But the myth has a little bit of truth to it. You do want to check the petals. Okay, don't go making a mess in the grocery store. But you pull one back, make sure it's green and healthy. Okay, make sure it's not brown and dried out and cracked, because that means it's old. Okay. Now, that's it as far as checking to see if it's going to be a good pineapple. Now, as far as the color, why it's yellow in store but it's green out here, well, the ancient Egyptians around 5,000 years ago were doing market research. They're the earliest known civilization to do it, studying what makes people buy, why they buy it, how to make them buy it, and we use the same methods today. So, through all that market research and the 500 years of pineapples, relevance in culture, we found you guys think yellow is better. So we use potassium ethylene, which is a chemical found in bananas. We spray it 2 weeks before we harvest to turn it yellow, to manipulate you guys into buying. Okay? Dole and Del Monte do it too. Yellow is not a natural pineapple color. Green is the natural for ours. Big Island has a pink one. Kauai's Sugarloaf is kind of like what these look like now, kind of a pale color. There's a black one in Antigua. There's all varieties of pineapple. Yellow, not really a naturally occurring one. Now, if you leave it long enough that it turns yellow, it's most likely going to be rotten inside. That's why if you buy a green one in the store, it's not a banana. Okay, don't leave it on the counter. Don't let it turn yellow, because a pineapple only ripens 3 days after it's been picked. Okay, we pick on a Monday, we're processing on Tuesday. It means getting it cleaned and put in boxes. It's getting shipped on Wednesday. That's 3 days before it leaves this farm. So by the time it gets, say Arkansas, where I'm from, probably 10 to 14 days later, it's in the process of rotting by then. Okay, so I need to buy it and eat it before it goes bad. Okay, so that's really what you want to look for. Before I start cutting, any other questions? None? All right, so I want to be safe with these toothpicks. All right, I'm going to have a machete, so if you drop your pineapple, don't reach out and grab my machete. Okay, I know you signed waivers, but it's really not worth it. I've got 400 acres of pineapple growing right now, okay? I also got 4 more on the bus in case we need backup, okay? Now, like I said, you can't tell the flavor of a pineapple before you cut it, but you look how dark yellow this is. The darker yellow, the sweeter it's going to be. And people also ask us, what's the best way to cut a pineapple? And honestly, there's no good way. Just do it the best you can. Get as much of it out as you can and you're good. There are easier ways to do it. You get a decorer, makes life a lot easier. But there's really no right or wrong way to do it.
descending nicely.
Roger.
About 180 feet away, due north, there's the North Reef. Go ahead and switch underwater telephone.
180 feet on due north, I like it. We're going now, switching now, model.
We just got the deal in the Atlantic inside the reef to find protection from that predator. Flight core just makes it super easy just because there's caves and tunnels all over the place. You can see these fish just go right past the viewport windows. These fish right here are called sleek unicorn fish.
Look at the other
These
fish
sleek
coming
unicorn
at
fish
us.
lack the unicorn horn, hence the sleek name. Sleek unicorn fish love the submarine.
Look at that big
In
one.
fact, a lot of fish out here love the submarine. They are not afraid of the submarine. You still swim through the bows. You guys in the stern don't see it yet. Don't worry. Okay, we'll turn here. What kind of shark? Oh my gosh, there's rays. Do you see them? Right by the shark, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spotted eagle rays out there in the distance.
Stingray.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
It's an eagle ray.
So that is a white-tip ray shark, and those are spotted eagle rays.
Yes.
Down towards the sand, I mean. Right yellow fish with a long nose.
Look at that orange one.
Now those long-nosed barfly fish were in a pair. There's 2 of them right next to each other.
Yellow fish.
So when butterfly fish find their partner,
Spiky
they actually
fish.
stay with their partner for their entire life. They never take up another partner, nor will they ever leave their partner's side. They are known as the Romeo and Juliet fish. Now, if you guys have ever seen the play or read the play Romeo and Juliet, you know what happens at the end? If one of those butterfly fish were to die, the other one actually starts to the surface. You actually see how red they are. Now, the reason why they look gray down here is because of something called color absorption. You guys might have noticed it already. It looks a bit more gray, a little bit more muted down here than you might have expected. So when we get down to about 30 feet, the ocean will actually suck up colors, and at 30 feet, lose the color red. Very first color to go. So if you guys are wearing any red, look at your own clothing, your red may appear black or maybe even green.
It's their house now.
So this ship is called the Carthaginian. She's as beautiful under the water as she was above the water. So when the ship operated, she operated as a cargo ship. First built in 1920, today the ship is 102. Now the ship was a cargo ship, so she sailed around Europe delivering cargo. She then retired in the 1960s, and it was bought in the 1970s by an old Lahaina crew. They sailed the ship all the way from Denmark to Lahaina, Hawaii. It's a 105-day journey. Oh, port side, look at the side of the ship. On the side of the ship, you might notice a celebrity appearance sitting on a shelf. Yeah. There he is.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
What the heck?
What is he doing down here? Check out that. Oh yeah, very good eye. There's another spotted eagle right up on the starboard side.
Where are you?
Good eye. Our 5th ray, that's crazy. We see more sharks than we see rays. 6 is 938.
Clear as well. Yeah, good freeboard stability, clear on hatch.
Clear on those hatches, thank you.
It could just be for fun. We don't know for sure, but it's highly likely that they jump out of the water just because they're bored. They're super, super smart creatures. And so what do we do when we get bored? We have hobbies, and these dolphins' hobbies might just include spinning. Impress your friends. It might also be for communication. No, I don't think so. Oh yeah. No? Yeah, coral, some algae blooms, some growth. Yeah, there's some coral spawn over on the left or port side of the boat. Yeah, and keep your eye out, guys. The last few times we've seen this pod, we've actually seen some calves and some babies in the pod, which are super cute. When a dolphin is born, it's about the size of an American football. So pretty tiny. Let's team up. make it easier. Exactly, yes. Sun behind it, helps it to camouflage by being a little bit lighter colored. So keeps the dolphins a little bit more safe. It looks like coral spawn, but could just be some algae stuff as well. Dolphins also use echolocation to hunt. So I'm sure you guys have heard where they like to be when it's this weather. Just help collect that data so that we can learn more about these guys. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me or any other crew member. I believe they don't become a full adult for a couple of years, but they're not going to be really small for that long. Yeah. They are protected, Taylor. They really, really want to hold it, but usually like 3 or 4 if they're hunting. Like, I think it's like 15 to 20 when they're sleeping, when they're not eating too much, but. Yeah, and a rule of thumb, so figuring out how many dolphins we're seeing right now, typically for every dolphin that you can see above the surface, there are probably about 3 more underneath the surface. So this is a pretty large pod that we have found this morning. Yeah, so some of dolphins' main predators, we have sharks. Sharks, you won't see them too much like just attack a giant pod, but if a dolphin might be hurt, more vulnerable, ooh, my gosh, major jumping. They very well might be entertaining us intentionally, just saying hi, trying to communicate with us. We could have just, like, also the boat might have just, like, woken them up a little bit more. And so they are just, like, early morning. Woo! Crazy spinning action over on the starboard side. Because dolphins are so smart, they also have their own cultures. So if you like put a dolphin from this pod into a pod on the other side of the world, it would be really out of place and have a lot of culture shock. And it's super clear through research that scientists have done that they have their own culture and languages and stuff based on location. They're super showing off. They heard you. They were like, better impress him. But these dolphins are one of the smaller dolphin species. Yeah, it looks like there are a couple of calves, teenager-aged dolphins on the left here. Keep your eye out. a baby right off of the right too. Oh my gosh, I feel like we see that dolphin all the time. They're pretty, like, slightly shorter than an average adult human, and also slightly smaller weight-wise. They're like 170, 180 pounds average if they're fully grown, but fairly similar. Like, we're not too different. Yeah, why do they ride the bow? So we think that it might just be because the way the boat cuts through the water, it creates like a nice little current-y thing for them to ride on. But they just really enjoy the way that the boat cuts through the water. And you'll also notice if we're leaving, a lot of times they like to play in the wake of the boat too. It's believed that actually people learning or coming up with the concept of surfing actually got it from dolphins, because they like to do that with waves, especially the ones that the boat makes. So it's pretty cool.
All right, guys, I think we're going to start heading.
Yeah.
Guys, wall trackers would only last about 10 days or so, and there's several $1,000s each. So our conservation department will take what our research department does, and they will turn it into actual factual stuff that affects our everyday lives, right? So if you guys have been grocery shopping out here in Maui, you might have noticed that there are no plastic bags in any of the grocery stores. And Pacific Whale Foundation did have a hand in making that into a law. Conservation Department will also take some of those research papers, kind of make them more manageable for everyday people to read, and they'll also work pretty closely with our education department. Our education department are the ones that give us training to be able to
Down in Waikiki, right hand up, left hand across your chest. And every day, big sun, and every day, she did a dance for me. And it's a dance that everyone should see. You're gonna point 3 times. This last move is my favorite. It's called the ummy. Hands on your hip once again. Bend your knees just slightly. Now we're gonna move your hips in a circular motion. 2 slow and 3 fast. All right? Let's go. Slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Slow, slow, fast, fast. Woo! You guys want to see it again? Say it on the horn. I can't hear you. On the horn. You want to sing again? Let's go. One more time. I met a hula dream. I met a hula dream in Waikiki. And every day she does a dance for me. You point 3 times. And it's a dance that everyone should see. Slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Oh yeah, all right. I think it's so good. We're gonna do it one more time. I met a hula dream. I met a hula dream in Waikiki. And every day she does a dance for me. You're gonna point your fingers 3 times. And it's a dance that everyone should see. Slow, slow, fast, fast, fast. Slow, slow, fast, fast. All right, we end with a big kiss and a bow. Let's hear for our dancers. Now, how do we ladies and gentlemen? We're going to exit the same way you came on.